Welcome back, everyone, to the College Hockey Mouth podcast, a College Hockey South series, episode number 12, with our friends Devin Serra alongside Gavin Coker and Danny Bohm, the original trio. Getting ready for Veterans Cup. Before we talk about that, boys, what went on in your world this weekend?
This weekend, I don't know. So I'll start with something today. I got a couple of things. When I was coming back from the park today, I saw like a soccer mom van. So just picture this: it's soccer mom van, completely blacked out, like flat black paint job, the windows completely tinted, the wheels with the rims and everything. So I don't know, but it was just like a regular like minivan. I don't understand the purpose of that. Someone's getting picked up from their like 6U soccer practice and just like their mom's coming correct. So I thought that was funny. And number two, Texas with another big win this weekend, beating a top 10 Vandy team, which is weird to say. So back in the playoff conversation, not a big deal. And book it right now. They're going to go into Athens 2 weeks from now and beat Georgia.
Okay, so some big words from the South Carolinian. Hey, Gavin, how was your Halloween? I saw you and the missus dressed up a little bit.
Yeah, so my sister, funny enough, her birthday is on Halloween. She turned 21. So I'll just let you think about what happened from there. I'll leave that there. But yeah, did that, and then we had a work party the next night. So a little bit of a action-packed weekend. And then followed some small college basketball for my school, which was a good time start to the NCAA D2 season. And then I think the biggest win this week was my fantasy win in the CHS Puck Talk League. And I got to bring it up because it was me versus Devin, and I came up on top. You know, I'm on a 3-game win streak, so we're feeling pretty good.
Well, full disclaimer, I forgot to set my lineup 3 out of those 6 days in our
Stop
games.
it.
I don't need
I'll
excuses.
brush it off. I'm 3-1. I'm feeling good. I'm not close to last. I'm definitely not finishing last this year. Danny, though, on the other hand, you better watch out, man, because you're gonna have to do.
I won this
Listen,
week.
we've got the punishment set. We're not gonna reveal it on this pod. If you know, you know. You better step it up, man, because it's getting scary for you.
No, I mean I took the dub this week, and I'm kind of like the Dodgers. Like you had a chance to put me away. I was 0-3, and you didn't. So I'm all I'm saying is I'm like the Dodgers. You might end up like the Blue Jays, guys.
Well, rest in peace to the Blue Jays World Series run. Hell of a Game 7, by the way. Congrats to the Dodgers and their fans on a second consecutive World Series. My weekend was pretty relaxed, in all honesty. Halloween, we called me and Wes Moore the Miami and FAU game in ACDC M3. Pretty fun. FAU was able to get back on track in a win there, and they had a pretty bad loss to Linden. We'll talk about it a little bit later. All things, though, considered, I had a relaxed Halloween. Probably the first time in 6 or 7 years I have not gone out on October 31st, so that was a little weird, but made the most of it. It was good. But enough about us. We've got one of our most special guests coming up on this episode. He is a all-time points leader, games played, any category you want to name at Middle Tennessee. He probably holds the record for it. The captain of the Blue Raiders. Please welcome to College Hockey Mouth, Linden Palmer. Linden, welcome to the pod.
Hey, boys. Thank you for having me.
Mister, where do we begin? You guys are off to one heck of a start. You lead the charge. You're from Tennessee. You're from the heart of the Bluegrass State, baby. Tell us about you growing up in hockey and how you got to where you are.
Yeah, so went to a Predators game when I was, I think, 3 and instantly fell in love with it. So my dad took me to a public skate and kind of took off from there. He said that the second time I went out, I quit holding the boards, and I was 4 years old. So he kind of knew that it was meant to be, and so he throws me in house league. I do pretty well in that. So at the time, it was the Ice Tigers, I believe, and then they turned into the Nashville Flyers. So played that for a couple years. When the Junior Preds came around, played that for, I think I was like 8U to all the way to 14U, and then I went back to the Flyers and finished out all through 18U, and then decided to go to MTSU and stay local. So stayed local all my life. We talked about going off and billeting with another family playing junior hockey, but I felt the need to stay around here and just go straight to college. And thankfully I did.
Yeah, well, you've turned into Mr. MTSU hockey for sure. I want to take you back a couple of years. You guys just missed out on conference playoffs and in turn missed out on nationals. And really since then, your team's been on a mission. You know, you ended up winning conference championship last season, national semifinalist at nationals, AAU nationals, and you're tearing it up through the first part of this season. Do you think that was a big turning point for your program?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that year that you're talking about where we just slightly missed, we focused so hard that offseason in bringing in good recruits, good talent, and we landed a guy named Brendan Ogle, and he catapulted this team. And so we got him, then he brought in another guy named Ethan DeMumbrum, and then he came along. That's when we had our big breakout season. It's just adding these depth pieces, even though I mean they're both first liners. It's bringing everyone down a line and just having that much depth. And then we do that, and everyone sees us and sees how we're growing. They love what we're doing. I mean, our coach JJ Murray does a fantastic job every offseason. We have probably a Zoom call every week, maybe 2 a week, just talking to recruits, giving them what campus life is like, trying to bring them in. And so it's really refreshing to see people actually wanting to come to MTSU now, because in the past, well, when I first started here as a beer league team, and it wasn't even a glorified beer league team, that's what it was. So just seeing where we are now and the level of talent that we have is really refreshing.
Yeah, and you've talked about all that talent, and you guys have a lot of key players. How did you end up becoming captain, and what does that mean to you personally?
Well, my sophomore year, I decided that I wanted a piece in leadership, and so I took over as vice president in my sophomore year and was voted assistant captain. And then my junior year, I got handed presidency and I was voted captain, took presidency into my senior year. And so this is my third year as captain now. I don't know. I think partially it came from being president, but I view myself as a good leader by example. I'm not the most outspoken guy on the team, but I keep people, what's the word? Accountable. I keep people accountable every practice, every game. I give constructive criticism. I'm not one to, go into somebody's face and tell them they suck and do better. I think JJ Murray, our coach, put a lot of trust in me, and I put a lot of trust in him because when my coach resigned my sophomore year, I basically just asked JJ to take over as head coach, and I would say that was the best decision that we made. But yeah, I think he just put a lot of trust in me, and I felt that, so I wanted to run with it and build this program up.
Hey, Linden, we'd be remiss if we did not talk about your father commentating on Middle Tennessee games. Brady Palmer, he's one of the most popular guys around college hockey south. Do you ever feel any pressure from him calling games? Has it been like something your teammates rag you on, or what's it been like having him around your program?
See, there's no pressure to me, but just this year they've started giving me a little crap about it. I don't know why. They say that he freaks out if I do something, and they claim that he doesn't freak out as much if anyone else does it. But you go back and listen, and Matt Siciliano will toe drag somebody and he goes crazy about it. So I don't know where this started, but I don't know. He's done it since my 16U year. He started just videoing, and then my 18U he decided to start commentating it. He carried it into MTSU just as a hobby, and now he's not paid or anything, but he genuinely loves to do it. And I asked him at nationals, I was like, is this going to kill you not being able to commentate these games? And he's like, yes, because it gives him a sense of, I guess, and not having to stress over the game. He just goes with the flow of it. So it is cool to have him doing it, though. We all appreciate it.
Yeah, shout out to Penalty Box Radio. He does a great job. Another thing I had to bring up, and this is something we brought up a whole bunch of times on the podcast. Conference championship game against South Florida. You guys have come out, have a great first period. I think you go up 3-0. And then I think something may have happened in that first intermission.
Yeah.
You want to take it from there?
Yeah. Like you said, we came out hot, and first intermission, our coach comes in. He's like, "Oh, it's going to be an hour delay." The Zamboni broke down, and they didn't pick up it's not the edger. I don't know what it is, but it digs into the ice. It dug like this deep hole, and so they were like, "Oh, it's going to be an hour delay." They were trying to fix it. Then he comes back in about 30 minutes after saying it's going to be another hour delay. So we're all annoyed and frustrated as crap. And luckily, I think that rink had 2 other sheets, and there was a men's league game going on. Well, it's supposed to go on, and they so graciously offered their ice to us so that we could finish. And apparently that was a big ordeal getting all the camera stuff over there. My dad was stressed about that. No, it sucked for us and USF. I can't imagine what they went through down 3-0. I guess they thought that they would have a better chance because we lost all our momentum. They're a great team, don't get me wrong. Grant Dietz is a great player. It took all of us to shut him down. But yeah, it was a big hiccup in our momentum.
Gavin, if I can, I have one follow-up because the game you guys continued your momentum, ended up winning 4-0, and it sounds like a blowout, but your goalie, Aiden Kopech, had to, he worked his ass off. He made a bunch of saves. I don't remember the exact number, but seconds are ticking down. You guys come off the bench, big Selly, but he goes straight to the bench and then yaks in the trash can. I don't know if you remember this, but your whole team, the boys went crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my favorite moments of the entire season last year.
Yeah, big shout out to Kopech. I think the third period alone, we kind of lost our legs a little bit, and he had to have faced 30 shots in that third period. I mean, they were just shelling him, and he's the goalie when he's getting shelled, he gets in a rhythm, and that's honestly when he's best. So yeah, but him going over to the trash can and just yakking, it's so funny.
Hey, real quick, I gotta ask, what's better, winning a conference championship or seeing your buddy get married on the ice with Kopech?
Yeah.
Should say engaged.
Yes, engaged. Me personally, the championship was cool. I don't know. I'd have to ask him what he preferred if the engagement was cooler to him.
I would hope that the engagement was cooler for him. No offense
You
to the conference
you would
championship game, but
Yeah, you would hope so. He did allow. I think they scored like 5 on us though, so I think he was a little upset about that. But luckily, we still won.
you can't propose after a loss.
No, absolutely not.
I feel like that's a part of the captain holding him accountable. I think if he let that happen, that's probably not doing too great a job as captain. But we were talking about you guys getting the conference championship, and now you guys it's still early in the season. M3 rankings came out, and you guys are number 1 on that list. What's that like for your team?
I think it's just a huge testament to what this team puts in. Each and every player, they come in Tuesday mornings, work their rear ends off. Wednesday nights, it's the same story. So ultimately, they won it. We were so close last year at nationals, and I think that's what brought a lot of us back. I think we have 2 or 3 guys leaving after this first semester, and then come next year, I think we're gonna have another 5 guys leaving. It was just kind of coming back with vengeance, I guess you could say. It's kind of cringy, but yeah, we wanted to make a statement early so that we want everybody's best game, and being number 1, that's exactly what you're going to get.
You guys are gonna play another big weekend, Veterans Cup. We know it's not going to be an easy test for you. What do you think your team is capable of out in Huntsville, and ultimately, what do you guys want to get out of that along with the championship?
We just want to see the momentum keep going. We played in it, I think, 2 years ago, and we played really well. I think we started with, might have been Bama. I can't remember, but we played really well, came up short in that first game. So I would like to think we're going into this as the favorites. And obviously that brings a lot of pressure, but people say pressure makes diamonds. So hopefully we play our best hockey and we can come home with that trophy.
So with the game growing down here in the South, specifically club hockey, recruiting has become more of a commonplace. If you had to pitch MTSU hockey to someone considering coming here in 30 seconds, what would you say?
In 30 seconds. Wow.
Or whatever,
Well, I would start
however long you need.
I would start with our campus for sure. Our campus life is awesome. Just everybody around it. I've never gone to parties, but they say parties are cool. Our biggest pitch is, we're 30 minutes from Nashville, so really easy to get to Broadway. That's what a lot of people like to come here and do. We've got Preds and Titans. It's not so much what MTSU has to offer as it is just what our area has to offer. Now, in terms of hockey, we have a super devoted coach. I would have to say he's the most devoted club hockey coach in the country. As president, we would have text messages throughout, at least 10 hours a day just texting nonstop, trying to figure things out, figure out sponsors. And so when you have a coach that's dedicated like that and wants to genuinely win and build a program, I think that's where you get the most interest from. And our president now is Zach Giblin. Unfortunately, he's hurt and can't play this season. That's what really brought him here. I pitched that he would make a big difference with this program because when I was getting him, we were nothing. So he loved to hear that, and he wanted to feel that he could make a difference in a program rather than just go in and be some third liner that, this sounds bad, but nobody cares about. But obviously everyone cares about everybody. But yeah, so just having a coach that cares and wants to see you succeed is, I think, our biggest.
I gotta ask, because you talked about Broadway, and we saw the photo shoot on Broadway with the new uniforms. How did that come about? What was that experience like to see that for your team?
I don't really know how that came about. We got, I think y'all know her, Kara Short. She kind of took over as our photographer, and she had the idea to go to Broadway, and shout out to her. She's great. She does a lot of good work. But I think we put out a poll in our group chat and said, if you want to go, this is the time. You got to have rollerblades. I got a lot of text messages about that, though, just from people being on Broadway and seeing it. They're like, why are your teammates down here in full gear taking pictures? I was like, I don't know, to be honest, but it's going to be cool. Just pay attention. Yeah, Kara does a great job.
One of the conference's finest photographers, and we know she worked her tail off on the media day official. You guys got all the pictures with the trophies and stuff. I know you guys got a kick out of that. We've got some lightning round questions to rip off at you, so answer these as quick as possible. First one we're going to start with is, give us your funniest locker room moment.
It's got to be PG.
Yeah.
Can we circle
We'll bend it. We can bend reality here. You can spread a little close. It's fine.
Okay, I'll just go with team court. Team court is always funny. There's not a specific moment, but it's always funny. There's good stories.
So is someone like specific the judge? Is it the same judge every time?
It's Aiden Kopech. So he's
Is
not
he
very
lenient,
fair.
or-
No, anytime you try to find a rock, it goes through. It doesn't matter what it is. Your car could break down. It's a rock blanket. They need to come pick you up.
Okay, so next one. Who's the most underrated player on your team?
Ooh, I'll say Cam Hawkins. And I always tell him he's a fourth line little gritty player, but he knows his role. And I mean, you're gonna get everything out of him every shift. So he's just a solid player.
And then one word to describe your leadership style. You mentioned accountability, but
yeah, I would say accountability.
What's the biggest lesson hockey's, said that like Canadian, what's the biggest lesson hockey's taught you that applies off the ice?
I would say trusting in others. Hockey's a big trust game. And this goes into the workplace. You trust your employees to do the right things. You trust your teammates to do the right things.
Okay, and this isn't even a question, but if you guys could slow your goal pace a little bit, we have such a hard time not making one of your teammates or you one of the 3 stars of the week every single week. You guys score like 6, 7 goals a game. It's like, man, we have another MTSU player, but we had like 2 last week.
Well, I would like to say we will, but we won't.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Tommy's getting close to the no-fly zone on the 3 stars list.
Yeah, that guy's unreal.
Yeah, right. For the right reasons, not making the list. Well, hey, Linden, pleasure talking with you, man. You guys are rolling. We know we're going to see you later in the season, and you're going to be one of the teams to rep the flag when it comes to that Nationals bid. We hope you make it. We wish you and MTSU the best of luck the rest of your season.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks to Lyndon Palmer for joining episode 12 of College Hockey Mouth. MTSU set for big things and a big weekend out in Huntsville. Let's get to our game recaps. The game of the week, the Battle Boca, Lynn and FAU M3, and Lynn gets the upset over the M3 Owls. Guys, they led this game by a lot. 6-2 as it got dwindling down. FAU had some poor breakdowns. Their goalie got pulled. This was Lynn's, dare I say, best game of the season up to this point.
For sure. This ended a 8-game losing streak for Lynn in the Battle for Boca, so this is a big moment for them. They played with a lot of emotion and passion. You could tell they wanted this one for sure. They played the M2 team last Sunday, and that didn't go very well. It is important to note that FAU was on their third game of the weekend, and you never know what the legs are feeling like, especially once you get to the second period and, Lynn started to pile on the goals. It's going to be hard to try and dig deep to manufacture a comeback. Want to shout out Ian Urim, who, like Will Smith in the top of the 11th, swatted it out of the air. He didn't hit it over the left field wall like Will Smith did. Congratulations to the Dodgers again. But he buried it, and Lynn got the big win. The Fighting Knights.
Yeah, and we talked about it. FAU M3 has just struggled to find offense, and I mean, and some of that might be third game of the weekend. I can't imagine playing that much, but their offense has got to figure it out. There's no reason that this game went the way it went. I mean, FAU had such a different team last year, and so their offense just has to figure it out.
I'll say this, Drew Renzi, Sam Watson carried the load. They had a very good weekend against Miami AC/DC. Different scores there, but like you said, when it came to their rivals, the game that mattered, they didn't have enough production, and they struggled both ends of the ice. And that M3 team still seems like they're searching, and congrats to Lynn. Massive win, and what a bounce back after they got trounced in that Battle at the Beach tournament 2 weekends ago. Moving things along, USF took on Tampa in the battle for Tampa, and it was all Bulls in this one, guys. More of the same. One of the best teams in College Hockey South, and now one of the best teams in the country, slotting into the top 5 in the nation. They take down the Spartans 6-2 and 9-5, respectively. Grant Dietz, Jacob Duhaime, guys we've mentioned every single week on this pod, doing the things they do.
And USF and Tampa are very similar in their play style. They'll do a lot. They're physical. They get under your skin. But USF is just, I think, the better team at getting physical and staying composed, and they're so deep. And you mentioned Grant Dietz. He was unstoppable in that series. I mean, hat tricks in both games, and Linden Palmer mentioned it. You got to shut that guy down, and Tampa was not able to do that in this game.
Right. And the first game came on the same day, I believe, as the initial M3 rankings came out. Tampa number 2, USF number 4. Wow, right? I mean, some kind of series. Whoever picked the game of the week really missed the mark. Anyways, huge win for USF. They were coming off the Clemson series, which they split. Grant Dietz didn't play in the first game of that series, something to mention. But right back on schedule. They have a ton of depth. It's not just the Grant Dietz show. There are other guys who contribute, so they're going to be very dangerous the rest of the way.
Before we get along with the game recaps, we have got to acknowledge this ranking. What a monumental moment for College Hockey South to be with 6 teams in the top 25. Gavin, is that correct? Danny?
Yeah, 6 teams.
Look, I've seen ACHA M3 the last couple of years. It's been dominated by the Michigan squads. You've had some newcomers in Central Maine Community College, St. Vincent, but nothing compares to what College Hockey South just matched. This is the most teams that I can remember from a conference, not the Michigan Collegiate Hockey Conference. Strength of schedule certainly favored these guys, and just what do you think this does for a confidence level and the representation for the league?
Well, first, I'll read the exact rankings. How about that? So we can have the proper context. At number 1, which we mentioned already, the winners of 10 straight games. Yes, Middle Tennessee State University. At number 2, the Tampa Spartans. 3, South Florida. 7, University of South Carolina. 8, Clemson. Number 15, Central Florida. So it's 6 in the top 15. And what's important to note there is that the top 16 make it the Nationals. So if the season were to end right now, 6 College Hockey South teams would be in that top 16. Really good representation throughout the rest of the top half of the rankings from the conference, which is a really good sign, right? This is a tone setter, if you will, for what the rankings will look like the rest of the way. And I think it's a good sign if you're a College Hockey South fan.
And I've got to say this. I mean, this is my favorite thing to say, but hockey belongs in the South. And it's an honor to be a part of this conference and get to push and watch these teams break into the top 15 and put themselves on the boards for nationals. So it's exciting to see that Southern hockey is starting to come into the forefront. And like you mentioned, breaking into what typically was run by Michigan and Minnesota and northern states. And we're getting to see more of that representation from these southern states.
As this evolves, the rankings are going to shift. Teams are going to come in. Teams are going to fall out. Thanks to all the teams that submitted your results. Because you did that, you're got a ranked team in College Hockey South if you're in that bunch. If you haven't, get your games submitted so that you have a chance to join this club and help represent the conference. Tremendous. And as we get closer to the end of the year, guys, we're going to get even more. What does it mean? Could they play at nationals? Because when you make it in there and it's a pool play style, 3 games, you get a semifinal and then a championship. It really can be anybody on any given day. We've seen that the last couple of years. We've had different champions each year. Awesome to see for the entire conference. Keeping it along in our matchups, Florida got their first ever win. The women Lady Gators, first one in program history. Geez, guys, 10-1. Another crazy women's game score. Hats off to everybody involved with that program.
Yeah, and there were 2 hat tricks by 2 Florida players as they're kind of breaking into the scene. You know, we mentioned it. They played a doubleheader last week before taking on Florida State this week, and this kind of maybe felt like a good game for them. You know, it's their first day where they play 1 game, and they're going to match up with Florida State next weekend for a 2-game series. So potentially another chance to really find that groove, get going, mesh as a team, and just it's exciting to see that program get their first win.
Congrats to Florida for that. Florida will be an interesting team to follow the rest of the way. I talked to a few players from the Tampa women's team who got the first crack at them last weekend or 2 weekends ago, and they were really surprised by how competitive that game was. You don't want to look down on anybody, but it was 2-1 heading into the final period, I believe. A Florida goaltender did a tremendous job holding him in that game, and ultimately the score kind of stretched out a little bit. But to play with a team like Tampa, who we've talked at length about throughout the podcast, to hang with them is a really, really good sign in a first year and first game ever.
Danny, it's okay. Your Gamecock heart can be a little bit hurt by that score. We're going to digress it, though, and get you your 3 stars of the month, starting with the Men's Division II League. Number 1 goes to Liam Likashwa out of Florida. A goal and 5 assists through 2 games, a really strong series. I believe this was against Tampa a little bit ago, where they had a very competitive series. We talked about that on last week's episode. Alex Moeller slots in there at number 2, part of the Tampa squad, 4 goals, 5 assists, good for 9 points in 7 games. And Cole Valise, 6 goals, 2 assists for 8 points in 6 contests. In the M3 League, it's Tommy Chunchikov, one of our soon-to-be banned players, because this guy makes it every single week. 8 goals, 6 assists for 14 points. Danny, it's got to happen. Poor Kelly. She has to make this graphic every week for MTSU. I say that jokingly, being, Clemson and stuff. But Will Van Sicklen's right in there. 7 goals, 3 assists for the Clemson Tigers, 10 points in 5 games. And then Christian Souza for Kennesaw State. How about that? One of the leaders on that squad. He's got 9 apples in 4 games. That's good enough for your 3 stars of the week in M3. Any notes on that, boys?
Sure. Christian Souza, you can't pack blah, blah, blah. Easy for me to say. You can't pass the puck into the net. There's a lot of P's in that. Feel free to leave that in, Gavin. We're all human. Sometimes we stutter. But they often say you can't pass the puck into the net. Christian Souza, feel free to shoot the puck anytime, man. You'll probably score, but you know what? He led everyone in assists this month. Defenseman carrying the mail and leading the offense for Kennesaw State, who we'll see in the Vets Cup this weekend.
And
we will see them.
And who knows? Like, maybe Sousa is shooting the puck. I love a good blue line shot, but sometimes they just get tipped and they go in. And, I mean, you can't complain about that if you're Sousa. You still end up on the stat sheet, but it would be nice probably for him to see that turn into a goal.
I don't know about you guys, but some guys just live for the apples, because that is some of the most satisfying stuff. But more times than not, you're the one that makes the play when you get the assist. Hats off to him, and going to be big for a Kennesaw State group that's been banged up to start this year in a tournament that I think they're a sleeper dark horse, because they play a physical brand of hockey, and they've been better as of late as we get to the middle part of the regular season. For the ACDC League, American Collegiate Development Conference, Braden Curry from Florida Tech on his monumental, you called it Gretzky-like run, Danny, not to compare him to the great one, but 6 goals, 6 assists, and 12 points in 6 games. That's a lot of number 6s in there. Shout out Drake and the Toronto Blue Jays, who didn't win the World Series again. Alex Jensen, Florida State, had the hat trick and the game-winning goal. Well, no, game-winning goal. He kind of did, but hat trick in the game of the week for Alex Jensen versus Florida. Battle at the Beach. It was our College Hockey South game to watch. Very impressive there. They parlayed that into the championship, obviously. And then Nick Bowers had 8 goals, 3 assists, 11 points in 4 games. Those are your 3 stars in the ACDC conference. And finally, for the Women's League, Nina Molina, Clemson prodigy, 12 goals, 4 apples, and 16 points, in 3 games. Claire Carson from Alabama with 6 goals, 7 assists, 13 points in 4 games. Third star goes to Grace Seaman out of South Carolina, 5 goals, 5 assists for 10 points in 3 games. You guys didn't hear that. That was totally a perfect run of those 3 stars. That's all of them for the conference. I like this format a lot better than just the 3 stars because we don't get the blown out women's game scores. We don't get Tommy Chunchikov. We love the guy, but dang, we got to get some better representation in there. We do with each of the conferences 3 stars.
I think we're gonna have to start charging Nina Molina, Braden Curry, and Tommy Chunchikov like for advertising for how much we put their pictures on our accounts and everything. I mean, my God, and it's for good reason. Obviously, they're having great seasons. But man, maybe they need to go on the island of like let's give them a rest a little bit. Chloe Valente maybe too.
Maybe we'll hold team court and Danny can be the judge. Actually, that might be a biased party. Danny is the one who keeps putting them on there, so maybe Devin should be the judge.
We don't know who decides the 3 stars of the week, by the way. That is unfounded.
Well, I would say besides the 3 stars, maybe we could start making up our own categories. Hard Charger comes to mind. Maybe the best dressed person. Maybe the wackiest silly. I don't know. I think we should make it as silly as possible so that we get some different names in there. You can't always be a goal scorer, but you can be a beauty. And I think that's what we like to find on College Hockey Mouth. So, flipping the page, looking at some games to watch, and it is time for the Veterans Cup happening at the Huntsville Ice Sports Complex out in Huntsville, Alabama. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. All right. I'm glad I didn't get the state wrong. Not from Alabama myself, but Huntsville gonna be active this weekend, guys. We've got a great 4-team bunch there with Middle Tennessee State taking on Tennessee. That is for the game of the week, Saturday, November 8th at 8:15 p.m. Central Time. You know, we haven't talked about Tennessee a whole lot. Their M2 team has been the impressive one, going up against Tampa, upsetting them a few weeks ago. For a team walking in there like Middle Tennessee State, he said, Linden Palmer, that his team is the favorite. What do you see out of both sides to make this one a game?
I think obviously we saw they matched up 2 weekends ago, and so maybe that was a good look for Tennessee to figure out what they need to work on before they match up with them at the Veterans Cup. I mean, Linda Palmer sounds really confident in his group. I mean, there's no reason not to be. You drop your first 2 games and go win 10 straight. There's something going on there. I mean, there's a reason they're doing that. So Tennessee's just hoping maybe getting that first look allowed them to adjust their game plan and practice for this one a little bit better. And maybe a team to upset Middle Tennessee State. I love a good upset, but like Lyndon Palmer said, I do think MTSU is a favorite going into this.
Right, and Tennessee, their M3 team was the latest starting College Hockey South team. They didn't play their first game until the month of October, which was crazy to look at when the schedule started to come out. So maybe they start to, find their footing a little bit. That's a really, really proud hockey program over there at Hockey Top. Both teams have seen a lot of success, and the game between the two a couple weeks ago ended 9-0. So that's not going to sit well with Tennessee. They're going to want to get that lick back. So at the very least, I expect an impassioned effort and a much closer score than 9-0 for sure.
Our other game for the Veterans Cup, Alabama and Kennesaw State. I don't know about you guys. This looked like the sneaky good one on paper for me. Mentioned earlier, Christian Sousa, big for that squad. And I think Alabama is kind of this hot or not team. Some weeks they look on top of the world. Others, they're getting swept by Middle Tennessee State. But, what do you guys watch for in two groups that are probably going to duke it out in what's actually a College Hockey South tournament rematch?
Yes. Two teams that kind of expected a little bit more from on both sides coming into this season. Kennesaw has had some injury issues. Alabama just hasn't had the consistency that you really expected from them. They played tight with Middle Tennessee in a series that was in Nashville about a month back, but not getting the results. Their ranking reflected that, right? KSU is a they're a rough and tumble bunch. You know, whether they have their top guys out there, they're going to play an in-your-face style. So I wouldn't expect, or I wouldn't be surprised if this one, had a few penalties in it.
We know James Kravis on the captain's side for Kennesaw State is a chippy guy. Expect a busy one at 5:30 p.m. Central Time, same day on Saturday. Championship Day 2 looks like this. We've got the third place game with the losers from either side on Saturday, November 9th at 10 a.m. Central Time. For those of you on the East Coast, that is 11 a.m. Eastern. And then on the winner championship game, we got 12:45 at Central Time. First place and second. Going to be interesting to see which teams rise to the occasion. Middle Tennessee seems like the favorite. You never know in these big style meetups with the conference as we get rolling. And gosh, we're almost to the break, guys. Can you believe it? I mean, second semester, I get our first semester break, I guess, is I want to say only like 3 weeks away.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think Gavin's the only active student. He would have the best idea. Yeah, the season's kind of rolled right along. Unfortunately, you wish they would play a little bit longer, but yeah, we're starting to get down to the nitty-gritty, the rankings coming out and everything. We got some series this weekend that'll affect the next rankings.
I will say, with the semester break coming up, I was looking at the schedule earlier today. Luckily, there's still hockey games going on. I know there's break, but some teams still want to stay on the ice, still got the action. So we'll have a couple less games than normal, but at least there's still hockey going on in December and into January.
Yeah, it's almost like this pause between, I mean, it's a pause, but like when you compare it to like college football, they've got like that national ranking period, and it almost feels like another season begins, at least how I look at football or college. And it feels the same way. Like once you finish that first semester, the second semester kind of opens up like the serious games, the ones that are the haves and have-nots for seeding, for nationals, for just conference playoffs, whoever's going to be featured in this tournament and the rest of the nation around the ACHA. But the rest of our conference games look like this for the week. South Florida travels to South Florida. A little funny to say that, right? They go east as the Bulls are out of Tampa. USF sits atop M3 right now, guys. 11-2-1 on the year, 23 points. But this Miami M3 team split with Tampa a number of weeks ago, and I feel like this one is a trap game for USF.
Well, it very well could be. Miami is a really Jekyll and Hyde type group. We've seen that. Who did they upset? My God, my memory isn't serving me right now. Oh, there's Tampa. Tampa lost their first game to Miami. I'm supposed to know this conference. But yeah, and for a team that's on the outside of the rankings right now in Miami, this is a huge opportunity. USF just took down Tampa, who was number 2, and they're sitting in the 4th spot themselves. Huge opportunity for Miami, right?
Yeah, and I've said this, and you mentioned it, Jekyll and Hyde, very, very hot, very cold. I mean, they've been like that the past couple of years, though. And it's just a matter of which Miami team is showing up this weekend. I mean, are they going to get completely run over? Are they going to shut Grant Dietz down? Is Stooling going to get another hat trick and a big win? I mean, that's the guy for Miami that they really need to get going and allow him to see the game if they want to even get one game with USF.
I'll say this. I saw Stolian touch the puck maybe 70% of the game they had against FAU on Friday, Halloween. So like you just said there, Gavin, it's going to need their top scorers to come up big, and we're going to find out November 7th and 8th. UCF takes on Embry-Riddle, one of our favorite teams to talk about right now, Bob Joyce's squad. Embry-Riddle is coming off that loss to Tampa. Nothing to hang their heads about, though, is that Tampa team, one of the best in the country, top 3 in the nation, and UCF is going to have some new sweaters.
I got to say, I'm really excited about these UCF sweaters. I mean, I grew up military, so anytime you see something, salute to veterans, I'm a big fan of that. But I like the jerseys a lot. I don't spend my money on jerseys too much. If they're not Lightning jerseys, they don't typically get my money. But I saw this today, and I was already scrolling through their team store. But if you're gonna get one of those, you gotta act quick. I think they said it was till like the 16th. But UCF continues to show why they're one of the best branded teams in hockey because they constantly are releasing new jersey. I mean, I'm sure Luke, who we've talked about before, did the photo shoot for them. Those came out great. it's just exciting to see those jerseys, and I'm even more excited to see what they look like on the ice.
Yeah, it's a cool thing to have these jerseys that it's one thing if they're new and fun and everything like the Battle at the Beach ones, but these ones specifically looting service and also really cool for us to have this tournament this weekend. Saluting our the people that have served our country, and always want to thank those that have. Gavin, I'm right there with you. My dad is a veteran as well, so happy Veterans Day to him. But like I mentioned in the USF and Miami preview, UCF is in the field. They're one of the last teams. They're ranked 15th. Embry-Riddle, hold on, is 18th. So this is a huge game. We're a long ways away from solidifying the rankings, but if you look at these teams, and they'll probably both be on the bubble, towards the final rankings, this will be one of those series that could be the decider, right?
Those bubble spots are a premium, and that Nationals field, there are some auto bid teams when you win your conference. They're going to duke it out on a weekend set, also happening, and possibly our most underrated game on the slate. People are going to roll their eyes, though, when I mention the team name. Tampa travels to Fairfield for an M2 matchup, but look, former AAU Nationals matchup. I feel like this is some juice for a Tampa squad that has got to get their feet going. They have had a really tough stretch of games as of late with the likes of Lindenwood and Florida. If they're going to do it, it seems like it's against Fairfield.
Certainly. A team they beat last year on their way to winning the national championship. And yeah, they're sputtering a little bit. And it's a very unfamiliar feeling for this squad that, just outside of just winning the national championship last year, they've had a ton of regular season success, not losing many, if any, games. So I'm sure they're desperate to get back on the ice, even though I've heard some rumblings that, some of the guys they're dealing with some injuries. And sorry to hear that. Never want to deal with injuries and stuff like that, but it's just natural, right?
But I will say this Fairfield matchup, I mean, that was the biggest gap that Tampa had at Nationals last year. Every other game was 1 goal, 2 goals, but this is the game they won by the most. Like, won by 4 goals at Nationals. So they had Fairfield's number. And so this, like we mentioned, is just a game where you get back into it, you get back to your team culture, your identity, and you just find a way to get this win out. And they do have a super busy weekend. So this Fairfield matchup is a big one.
I think college hockey South fans will know well the rivalry that was and I think still is going with, is it the Empire League conference? So definitely going to be interesting to see that at the rinks in Shelton, November 7th and 8th as well.
Shout out Gabe to Curry. Go ahead.
Should also mention this Tampa team will take on Quinnipiac, another AAU team that upset Florida in overtime at AAU Nationals. I really think that Quinnipiac team, interesting fact about them is, I forget his name, but they had a goaltender actually get called up to the NCAA Division I team from this squad a number of seasons ago. Don't know if they're going to have exactly that level against Tampa, but they might need it depending on how they do against Fairfield. Now, could have been our game of the week as well, but Florida Atlantic takes on Florida in a 3-game weekend set, all from Boca as the Gators travel back. This team plays a lot of road games. They are right now the best team in M2. When you look at their record-wise, how Liam Likishwa is playing, and I know that's a bold statement, and Tampa fans aren't going to like to hear it, but this Florida team is fighting their groove.
I'm going to say that I agree with that statement. I'm a big fan of Liam Likishwa, and I know it's only a sophomore year, but there's a lot of potential for him to be, I'm going to say it, probably one of the best players CHS might ever see. I mean, he's fantastic on the ice, really generates a lot of offense for Florida, and you kind of expected them maybe to lose their groove with some of the guys they lost last year, but no, if anything, they've brought freshmen in, and they've come in and surprised a lot of teams. I mean, we mentioned they've split every series against an M2 team so far that they've played this year. But I think they've gotten better since they played Florida Atlantic last, and I could see them honestly going in and sweeping this series.
Ooh, bold claim, producer Gavin. But no, I mean, I think going into this season, looking at the 3-team Division II conference slate we were thinking about the teams, and naturally, because they were coming off of national championships, we were talking about Florida Atlantic and Tampa. And what's happened? The team that's not talked about has come in and, stolen the headlines. Florida's been doing the dang thing. So shout out to them. And this is going to be a huge series for Florida Atlantic because coming off of the Tampa sweep, which was ugly, couple of really ugly scores, and then kind of an embarrassing loss to Embry-Riddle at the Battle of the Beach, which was their tournament. Embry-Riddle is a Division III team, so Florida Atlantic needs to get back to their game.
And expect Rocco Bruno to have a piece in this. We know the reigning goaltender of the year gets a lot of talk. He's a favorite of ours on the pod. He's a fan favorite overall. They need some help on that offensive production. We know that they have the talent there with Murphy. Jackson Neuendijk, that NCAA transfer. We'll see if they can get him going. And what's a big tilt over in Boca this weekend. M3 takes on Tampa as well from Boca Ice Center. The M3 team mentioned lost to Linden. Tampa rebound opportunity for them after getting swept by USF. Those will happen November 7th and the 8th, both at 6:45 p.m. Eastern. I will be on the call for those games if you want to tune in on Owl TV. Florida ACDC takes on Florida State in the battle for Jacksonville. Two teams that play at the same rinks, guys, but they're going to take on each other at the VyStar Memorial Arena. And we got the preview of it with our game of the week, Florida State winning, going on to win the Battle at the Beach. Could this one be a different story, though?
Hey, it very well could be. Devin was on the call. I was working the camera for that game. It was very evenly matched, and the score certainly reflected that. There was an empty net goal that pushed the margin to 2, but Florida was right there the whole time. They had some fluky goals that got them back in the game on a few different occasions. It was basically all 3 of their goals were of the strange variety. Yeah, you could tell there were 2 very evenly matched teams, and with the stage being its brightest as you're possibly going to get. I mean, you're playing in not an NBA arena, but huge arena like that, rivalry game before a professional hockey game. This is going to be huge, and Florida, once they get back there.
And Danny mentioned it last week, the chomp versus the chop. Or, sorry, 2 weeks ago, but we talked about it last week. That's a patented phrase. But yeah, I think this is exciting. And Florida ACDC, they're a good team. Sometimes you see it in NHL games. Sometimes it's about puck luck. And I'm not saying that was the case for Florida, but I think we'll see a different result potentially. Florida, this is a big battle, and we mentioned it. Bright lights, teams like to shine on that. So I think this is going to be a good game no matter who comes out on top of this one.
I believe Florida's going to have their traditional Gator logo on the front. I wonder what Florida State comes out with in this one. I believe they don't wear the black jerseys anymore. They have that FSU diagonally going off the front. I'm excited to see the jersey matchup. If you want to catch this one, tickets are $30. They're raising money for veterans' mental health this month, of course, part of Veterans Day festivities. You can also attend a Jacksonville Icemen's game with a purchase of the ticket. Be sure to go online for those on Jacksonville Iceman websites. And then, we mentioned the matchup. I don't think it gets any better, and 2 teams that play for the rivalry. Should be a good crowd, too, and we hope everybody enjoys the trip out there to northeastern Florida. Final games to preview for you on the women's side. FSU and Florida in the second meeting. Continue of the battle of the chop versus the chop. And, boy, a big Florida win last time we just mentioned, guys. Danny, man, I don't know, dude. I guess Miami made it competitive against Florida Atlantic when they got blown out 14-0 earlier this year. So could we see a team go from not a lot to a whole lot?
They say any given night, right? Let's hope so. Florida State getting their start to their program. Want to see them compete and play hard, but look, inaugural seasons, these things happen. No need to look down on them, but it's a rivalry game. That's the great equalizer sometimes. The chop versus the chomp. Has anyone said that yet? Am I the first one to mention that on this episode? Go ahead, Gavin, so I can stop talking.
But yeah, I think this is going to be a good matchup. And Danny mentioned it, rivalries. Those are bigger games than most people expect. There's always an added heat to that. And they just matched up. So you get a look and maybe you make adjustments in practice. I mean, I know both of these teams, we talked about it earlier, FSU has to travel 2 hours basically to practice. So, I mean, how are you preparing for this game differently than you prepared for the last one? But I think no matter what, maybe we see a good series.
Final game to preview, Georgia taking on High Point on the women's side, November 8th through the 9th. And team that we typically talk about with what was formerly AAUM2, now is ACHIM2 and High Point. And then a Georgia team that still represent the conference in the women's side. Now, High Point is coming off a loss to Liberty, one of the best teams in ACHA, a constant contender at nationals. Does Georgia keep up in this series? We haven't seen them a whole lot.
It'll be interesting. I mean, CHS, High Point's already had a matchup with South Carolina, and they actually lost that game 6-5. So it'll be interesting to see Georgia coming off that sweep of Auburn 2 weeks ago. I think this will be an interesting one. Obviously, Liberty's a really good program. I mean, we mentioned the ACHA Nationals, and Tampa matched up with them earlier and had a similar result. So I think this will be an interesting test once again to see what the women's division looks like outside of CHS.
Gavin hit all the major points there. High Point played South Carolina a few weekends ago. Tight 6-5 decision there. And, High Point and South Carolina have the common opponent in Liberty, and Liberty just looks to be a steamroller. If you're able to do that to Tampa, you're pretty dang good, right? But Georgia, let's see how they do. They're trying to level up a little bit in their program. They made it to the Columbus Classic Championship game. This would be a big one to even get a split.
Final thing to mention, guys, before we wrap up the episode, I want to bring up a interesting weekend set I saw out in Oklahoma. The Pokes, Oklahoma State, had a combined 45-7 goals against Creighton this weekend. This was something that went viral on X I saw this morning. It had 2.5 million views, these scores. This is one of the best teams in ACHA M2, if you didn't know. What is the worst hockey score that you've ever seen besides this one?
It'd probably be an international game. You see those like the Olympic qualifiers when like the Bulgarian team has to play Canada or something and ends up being like 55-0. Those are rough though. Creighton, I can't imagine which goalie started those games, but maybe switch it up. Maybe try something different. Switch up the defense pairs. I don't know.
Yeah, Danny mentioned those international games. I'm sure I've seen one where a team shoots the puck and they're pretty much at 100%. Maybe there's like one save. They shoot 56 shots and they put 55 of them in the net. And I mean, what do you do for your goals against for that goalie? I mean, that's not a fantasy goalie if you want to have one, but
I think they were playing with a soccer net for this series. It was a special promotion. And they played with a soccer net. Creighton, oh my God, the save percentage too. Like I stopped 30% of the shots today. God almighty. Bless their hearts out there in Omaha, Nebraska. I don't know what they're doing though.
Get me out there with the soccer net behind a goalie. I'll make a few goals.
I will say, Oklahoma State recruited some NCAA guys, including one that's from the Michigan State NCAA Division I. If you don't think club hockey is college hockey by now, you're living under a rock smaller than Patrick Starr's. It's in the pudding. So, man, that was the burger of the week that I saw.
Have you seen, since we're wrapping up on club hockey talk, and you brought up Oklahoma State, their fan section that's gone viral the last month, their football team is horrible. And this is the first time in a while. A super proud program, and they've got nobody showing up to their games. It's embarrassing. They fired Coach Gundy, and there was just one guy in a section who took his shirt off, and I think he tied it to his towel and he was just waving it. And just over the course of 15 minutes, the entire section filled up. Everyone was taking the tarps off and swinging it around. And then it was 3.5 sections completely full of people swinging their shirt around. And now it's their whole crowd is a meme. And the social media team is leaning into it. Their team, by the way, getting boat raced while this is all going on. They are not getting any better, but the fans are on cloud nine. So I saw a whole section of dudes in banana suits. They're still, taking the shirts off, the whole thing. Maybe we should see the Oklahoma State fan. They'll have a good time, by God. They're scoring 20 goals a game at the hockey, Take the tarps off, swing them around.
Yeah, putting up football scores out there.
They're higher scoring than the football team. Are you kidding me?
All right, let's put the word out there. First team in College Hockey South that does something like this, whether you're scratches, if you got a student section, if you wave the tarps off, we'll mention you. We'll share it on the page. I don't know if we have anything to give away. We're not that big yet. We'll get there, though. We'll keep you on ice. This has been the College Hockey Mouth podcast. Boys, what a great week. Thanks to Linden Palmer for coming on. Good luck to everybody out at the Veterans Cup and in the rest of your games, and we'll see you next time. This has been episode 12 of College Hockey Mouth, a College Hockey South podcast.